we are at the Capitol with Senator Harry Coates. Senator Coates, thank you as always
Thanks
for
inviting
stopping
me.
by.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now, you had some comments in the community this week that, sometimes it's nice to try to understand how this place works out up here.
Well, it is, and I think one of the advantages of doing what you all do for we legislators in putting it out there in the community where the citizens can see kind of how the process works is I had a comment from a lady that I've known forever. This, in fact, just yesterday.
Go ahead and say your name.
And Betty, works for Comfort Express, and she said, I see you, every week on there, but she said, it really helps me understand the process and what you're doing up there, and she said, I don't need to see you 100 times, but I do enjoy seeing you.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's encouraging, and that's what we want. That's the reason we're doing this.
Well, and I'll talk directly to you, Ann. I'm in the same boat as you. It wasn't until last year when I started really talking to you guys as to how this process works and a bill kind of steps through to become a law. Yeah. This week now, you've kind of done a crossover in the sense of the House bills come to the Senate and your Senate bills go over to the House. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is kind of a transition week. This is, of course, spring break. A lot of legislators have their children up here with them. They spend the week with them, do things, go to the zoo, and go to different things. So it's kind of a fun week. And so for the regular members, we kind of have a slow week. But leadership who assigns the bills to the committees, they have a very busy week because now we have all the House bills over here that have to be assigned to a Senate committee. And so they have to decide how they're going to dole those things out, and so it's really been pretty easy for the rest of us this week. So it's been fun. It gives you a week to not have to do quite so much.
Well, it's been not so busy this week, but Harry, many of the senators are on a number of committees. Talk about the 4 committees in which you serve, and of course you're chairman of one. Mm-hmm. Talk about the responsibility of each of those committees.
Well, when you're a chairman, you decide which bills get heard and do not get heard. So you may have several bills assigned to your committee that you just really do not like, and you try to go through them. You don't want to make it difficult on your members to have to deal with a bill that is going to, is not going anywhere when it gets to the Senate. We have one particular bill that is probably not going to get heard in my committee. We've heard the bill before, several years ago. It didn't go anywhere, and so there's no need adding work to yourself. So I'm sure the bill's author is going to be unhappy with me because he wasn't here when we heard all that before. And but nothing new under the sun. It's the same bill.
And now, what committee is that, and what's the responsibility?
Okay, it's a Business and Labor Committee that I chair, and I've been fortunate enough to be vice chair or co-chair of that committee ever since I've been up here, which was kind of a strange thing since I served in the minority for a number of years. So that is the committee I'm most familiar with, and we deal with issues having to do with business, commerce, labor relations issues, and so I get a lot of bills, probably as many bills to my committee as any of the other standing committees.
Well, in labor relations, always a hot topic all over Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Now, other committees that you are not necessarily chair, but you serve, talk about what your responsibilities when you're not a chair, and then we can name a few of those committees as well.
Well, on the standing committees, you just serve as a regular member. You have one vote, and you do not chair. You have someone else chairing those committees, and of course, energy is a new committee to me, which I'm being from Seminole. We're a big energy producer down there, so I was really happy to get on that committee. Also serve on transportation, which I've served on every year as regular member. But as far as the appropriation subcommittee, served on the education subcommittee, okay. and then also serve on
your chair of the
and chair of business and labor. Yeah. So we have each of us have at least 3 other committees we serve on other than one would chair.
So appropriations, and you're in the education, so you have a say in committee. I guess that's what that means. When you're a member of the committee, you basically have a say in the discussion. You're able to put forth your views in that smaller group of senators who ultimately are going to decide whether or not it's going to go to the floor.
Yeah, and it's our responsibility to kind of run these things through a filter, so to speak. And sort things out, maybe ask the questions in committee that are likely to come up on the floor and get a better clarification, because you can always add an amendment then on the floor, or add an amendment in committee to change things up or maybe clarify. So it's important that we kind of work through them, maybe do some things that help us better understand the bill, help us better understand what the bill is and who brought the bill. Most of the bills we have up here, as we've discussed before, are request bills. So it's somebody's idea, and if it's a constituent request, you know, we always try to accommodate those, but sometimes it'll be an industry request, and so you got to kind of think through it. All right, is this going to put one particular company at an advantage over another? And so those are the questions that are being asked in committee, right, to make sure we're not giving somebody a leg up on someone else.
Well, and something very key there is most of these legislation comes from constituents. You and I, with ideas, talking to our senators and talking to our representatives. And of course, this week, or this next few weeks, you're going to be hearing bills coming over from the House, which means that they had House authors. Who are you asking questions to in these committees on the Senate side for clarification of the issues?
Well, the Senate author, you have to have a House author and Senate author
Okay.
before they can move. And so we will be asking the Senate author over here, all right, what does your bill do? And it's also the opportunity for others to come in and be recognized by the chairman to discuss the bill. And so if it's a request bill from someone, typically you will want that agency or that person there to explain why it's needed.
Yeah.
And many of us, like if it's something, I'm carrying a 200 and some page bills that change up or recodify the juvenile code.
Wow.
And you know, I mean, that's a book
Right.
to look through, and two of those, and so I certainly want someone there within the area of juvenile thought process to explain what we're doing, because it's very difficult when you're dealing with just hundreds and hundreds of
Right.
pages. You know, certainly we can't be
Yeah.
informed enough to explain what's going on. Although when we get on the floor, it's up to us. We've got to do it. So.
Well, and we don't want to scare anybody out there. Harry did not just say that if you make a recommendation, you're going to be up here in front of a bunch of senators.
No. Although you know that opportunity exists if you want a bill and have a willing legislator that's willing to carry it on both sides of the both ends of the building, both in the House and the Senate, that you could in fact be asked to come up here and explain why this measure is needed.
Yeah, and so many different personalities. Sometimes people love to be able to explain that, and then there's some that like to be quiet, and that's when you stand next to big guys like Senator
Well,
Harry Coates and say, Harry, you're on your own. Here's the idea.
You know what? It is interesting. You do have some of those that want to be way more informative than you need, and I've only had to ask one presenter to please sit down and give someone else an opportunity to talk about a bill. So you do have to keep a certain amount of order in your committee, or it gets out of hand. But for the most case, it's pretty easy to do, and it's a comfortable setting for the most part, because you're only dealing with a handful of senators and when you're in committee, and we understand that you're not accustomed to being up there and basically testifying to a Senate committee. So we try to make you as comfortable as possible, and you know, not put you on the spot.
Yeah, everybody in Harry's district, down around the entire Seminole area, and even up around the industrial park in Shawnee, has a say with our Senator Harry Coates. If you have concerns about things in front of Senate on the education end, on the energy end, on business and labor, and on transportation, those in particular, the next few weeks, Harry needs to hear from you.
I need to hear from you. Let me know what you think. If you see something out there, and you can find it all on the web. You go to our website and you can see everything that we're hearing. You can even log on and watch our BNL, Business and Labor Committee meetings,
Right.
and see exactly what we're talking about. So it's easy in this day and time to stay well informed about what we're doing. You just have to go to the effort to get on the website, and you can watch our proceedings every day on the Senate floor if you so choose. If you just really have nothing to do.
Let Harry watch it. Visit his website. Click on the committee and see what they're looking at. Harry Coates, thank you so much, Senator, for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.